what's up everyone, Game Dad here, and I am back from the Midwest Gaming Classic 2023, and one of the super exciting things that I got to be a part of while there was actually being on the how to become a YouTuber, or what it's like to be a YouTuber panel that they had there. And I was on that panel with a bunch of amazing people, and I wanted to share that panel for all those that weren't able to see it. So here is that panel at MGC 2023.
All right, so this is our Becoming a YouTuber panel, and we have a panel full of YouTubers who are going to explain such things. So let's start here and go around the horn real quick and introduce who you are and your YouTube channel, and then we'll get into it.
All right, so hi, well, first of all, thank you everybody for coming out here. So my name is Adam Korlick. Obviously I am a YouTuber. I've been doing that for the better part of like 14, 15 years. I'm an OG dinosaur on that platform. I've worked on my own channel, which is just called Adam Korlick. I've also got a current travel channel that's just a completely different thing. Used to work on Game Society Films, Game Society Films, Blame Society Films. They did like Chad Vader, things like that, as well as Machinima. So I've been around. Yeah,
My name is Chris Carlson. I run the channel Game Dad Show. I started back in, I think, 2018, so I'm definitely not as old as Adam. And I do a channel based on like tech and games, old and new, modding, restoring things, and anything else that looks shiny and interesting.
My name is John Riggs. I host a YouTube channel about retro gaming nostalgia. I also like to attempt to fix broken video games. Love to travel, love to go out to conventions. I'm here to say on record that Midwest Gaming Classic is my favorite video game convention that I've ever attended in the US. So
Yes.
I'll keep coming back as often as I can. I'm happy to be here, and I've had my channel, not including like posting random videos of my, like here's my 2-year-old playing Rock Band in 2007, 2008. Didn't start taking my channel more seriously, posting more consistently until about maybe 2016 or so, something like that.
I'm the other John, the immortal John Hancock, and just a collector, passionate for game, former original organizer of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. I did a charity event, Callous Gamers for Kids. Educator by day, professor of college, and professor of retro is
Professor Retro.
anyways, been doing YouTube a long time. I took it seriously starting in 2015. Started it doing silly stuff 2006. So long time.
I'm Try. I am one half of My Life in Gaming. The other half is sitting on the end there. And we do a YouTube channel called My Life in Gaming. We've done it since 2013.
Celebrating 10 years.
10 years. In October 1st. We launched our first video. Yeah. So, I mean, we're most known for like retro video quality related stuff, but really we just kind of do whatever. We also do like documentaries and things like that. So.
Yeah, I'm Corey. I won't make me repeat the whole thing again, I guess.
Hi, I'm Jay Malone from the YouTube channel Square Pegs. I started in 2020, taking it seriously. I did a couple in 2019, and I do retro and modern stuff and talk about my time when I worked in the industry.
I am Steve Wright. I had a YouTube channel since 2009. Back in the day, didn't take it seriously. Just did like tech reviews, computer reviews, stuff like that. Just whatever, like camera reviews. I'm a professional photographer. Also a former military in the Navy. I photographed wrestling and wedding photographer before I really took YouTube seriously. Photographed WWE, AEW, New Japan, all that kind of stuff. I took my channel seriously 3 years ago, and it's been such a blessing. I suggest anybody to start uploading, just click and have fun, it's an amazing experience. So yeah, that's just basically my channel is Mr. Right Way. So if you like gaming lifestyle, I made the channel for you.
And again, that's cool. Yeah.
Anybody got any questions? Raise your hand. Yes.
So you guys are doing your YouTube channels. As far as like getting the word
Don't worry about that. Just have fun. Don't worry about all that right now. Just do what you love. If you like games, if you like muffins, go get the prettiest muffin and upload it. If you have a passion for something, seriously, people will come. People will find you. You will find your tribe. I'm telling you like this, I noticed, if you have a negative personality, if you like drama, you will find that drama. 100%. But if you just cool, collect, just have fun. Don't overthink. Don't overthink YouTube. Don't do that right now. Just jump in. YouTube shorts are blowing up. Just make a 45-second short of, I love this sunny muffin, and somebody might find it.
I mean, we have found, and I don't know if anyone here disagrees, but we have found that it doesn't matter where you post your content and say like, look, I released this video on YouTube. It doesn't matter if you put it on Twitter, if you put it on Instagram, if you put it on Facebook, or whatever the kids use these days. It's the growth happens within YouTube, within the YouTube algorithm, and
100%.
people will not listen to you. If you say like, hey, I'm also doing this other thing over here, they aren't gonna listen to it. Like we do a lot of people ask like, oh, why do you stream on YouTube and not on Twitch? Even though we sometimes stream on Twitch, but our main stream is, on Sunday nights on YouTube, because people are so used to the Twitch streaming ecosystem. But the reality is, if we say like, hey, we're streaming on Twitch, our audience exists on YouTube, our subscribers exist on YouTube. No one watches when we stream. I mean, some people watch, but not that many people watch, So the growth happens within YouTube, that's where your audience is.
Yeah, I think it's good to experiment too, because different content is successful in different areas. Your content might be more Instagram or TikTok, and you just have to experiment with that, but then go where your growth is as well. Like, I can do a short on 3 different platforms, and my Instagram videos are a lot more popular than on YouTube. And so it makes me always want to post on there, but your content may be different, and you have to experiment with that. I think another thing I can recommend to anybody is try something new. If something doesn't work, try something different. Branch out and try something, and it may catch on. I mean, the worst case scenario, it doesn't. So, especially when you're starting out, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, something to remember also, everyone always tries to find the secret to the YouTube algorithm. The secret is you're not going to figure it out. The algorithm will figure you out when you start posting your content. So don't worry about like, I got to make sure that I do this. Everybody's doing this, so I need to make sure I do that because they got famous off of it. I need to get famous off of it. It's not going to work that way. It's going to bomb. So do what you like to do, and the people that like that as well are going to find you, and the algorithm will see that and push you forward.
And just make sure you're consistent with what you're doing. Find your audience, find the things that you're passionate about, and make the videos about it, and people will come to you.
And one thing too about people keep talking about algorithm, don't let that scare you. Really, algorithm is just the people. Find the people. Just put it out there. Yes, it is a YouTube algorithm, but in my thing I've done, it's people. Just find stuff, But also too, make sure you get the technical part down. Make sure you get basic skills. Make sure you know how to like set your lights up. Make sure you know how to have good audio. Like I said yesterday, audio is king. You can have trash lighting, video, but if they can't hear you, they're not going to click off.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, and I would say just to add like some really basic tips, stuff like your title, make sure it's not like all lowercase and spelled wrong, because I don't want to watch a 6-year-old make a video. Your thumbnail should at least be relatively okay, because that's ultimately what gets people's attention first. But like when it comes to SEO, like that's the first step. Just do that kind of thing. That's really all I have to contribute to that.
Yeah, YouTube is so smart that, there's an option for tags, don't even need them. I mean, the words you say, Google already, like, because of the instant closed captioning, just the words you say, the facial reaction you have in your video, YouTube analyzes and says, oh, this person's happy, this is a thing, and so they'll know that you don't even have to put PlayStation, they already know it's a PlayStation video and might get suggested to other PlayStation videos or NES videos or what you're doing. The Google brain is so incredibly smart right now that you can say whatever you want, you can put your thing in your description, and it could already kind of know what you're already talking about, and then hopefully you'll get pushed to those people, and you hope for that homepage click, because that means that your next video will be on their homepage. Hopefully they click on it again. So like Adam said, thumbnail and headline without that, you know, it doesn't even matter what your video is, if nobody's gonna click on it in the first place, you know, they're already gone.
And make sure you like what you're doing too, because a lot of people see like, oh, I want to be a YouTube star, which is I still don't get that, but you know, I want to make money. So just make sure you like, because you might burn out like in 3 months, and then you're like, what I want to do next. Make sure you like it. Two people who I really say up here I respect and watch them, like these two Johns right here. Both of these guys, especially how this John right here, not the professor, but this John right here. Man, like a couple years ago, his channel exploded, but you have to watch what he does, and this, everybody up here got something special. It's really special. So just take little bits of people, what they do, but really study these two guys right here. They're really, really good at YouTube. And especially like John right here, his voice is just like, you know, that radio personality. Me, I get stuck, I'm like, learn to cut all that stuff out. But they're really good. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
He got the sexy radio voice.
How I climbed out of that.
There you go.
How I climbed, because I plateaued, and that's what happened with my YouTube channel, and that was my own fault, because I would go to these game conventions for the first time, and everyone who approached me said, I love it when you fix broken video games. #1 compliment. I was like, I will give the people what they want, I will do nothing but open cart surgery. And my channel flattened. It was this, because my views were fine, it was the same views, the same viewers, the same commenters. I wasn't growing because it's such a niche category. Because you look at YouTube in the broad scale, and you think of you know, like Jackson Pollock painting, like the painting that's all like splatters and paints and everything like that. If you look at a Jackson Pollock painting, like a droplet of paint is the gaming, like how big YouTube is. That's gaming, and then even a smaller slice of that is retro gaming. So you have to have a huge passion for it. So it's like, well, it's such a small thing of like YouTube, gaming, tech, I mean, whatever that is. And so it wasn't until I was like, oh, well, all these other people are doing these top 10 lists, 5-star games, 1-star games. It's like, oh, but everyone does that. Yes, they work. Everybody should do that. You know, nobody invented that. You know, that's and then when I started doing those to reach out to a new audience, to reach out to a broader audience, then my views started going up. Then my subscriber base started going up, and I would still do those open cart surgery videos too, to accommodate, you know, the people who are already there. Those are your P1s. In radio, we call those P1s. Those are the people who call in to win contests. Those are the people who want to see you on the street. Accommodate them too, because those people are more likely to buy your T-shirt. But I'm sure there's people in this room who watch all these channels, they're not even subscribed to them, but they still show up on your homepage and you click on them. It's like, wait a minute, I'm not even subscribed to this channel. You don't need to be, because they're already showing up in your homepage. And that's when I started, you know, seeing that uptick on myself.
Yeah, that's actually a trap that a lot of people get into. They think their subscriber count is the #1 thing, and not saying it in an offensive way. People who subscribe are important. Subscribers aren't important. The number of subs that you have is not an important thing. Subs do not translate to views. You can see people with millions and millions of subs, and they get 500 views on a video. Well, their channel probably sucks. They just have a lot of people that decided to click on a button one day. So worry about the content that people are actually viewing, not the people that are subscribing to a channel. It's great to have fans, but if you have fans that don't watch your stuff, then who cares?
I would like to add energy when you do a video. This is something that I struggle with sometimes because I work, you know, a full-time job. You know, I don't live on YouTube, and so I can be dog tired sometimes. And the best thing you can do if you're dog tired and have low energy is don't do the video. Go to sleep, sleep on it, get well rested. You're gonna have a better outcome. I've done videos tired and I regretted it. And so like the times that I waited, even coming to the show, I had a choice to do a video and not, and I chose not to, just to be well rested here, and it was the right choice. And that's a tough call sometimes. But I love making content, but you don't want to be flat on camera.
He did it the right way.
Good.
Oh, come on.
All right, Stuart.
That beautiful man.
Question for each one of you. Sorry, Jack. Do you primarily make videos that you think your audience wants to see, or do you primarily make videos that you want to make?
All right, he doesn't answer.
The question is, do we make videos for what we think the audience wants or what we want?
Okay, so I really just care about stuff I would want to watch. So I like really obscure stuff. I didn't bring it out for this purpose, but like I've got the Sega Pluto prototype sitting in front of me. So like I like to cover stuff like this because I would get a kick out of it. I did a video very recently on, if anybody's even heard of the new one, they have N64 controller adapters. There's like 2 people, like you and I, are the only 2 people that felt like covering that. Do I care about the views on that? No, because I want to see that, so nobody else other than him is going to make it. So that's what motivates me like 98% of the time.
Yeah, I would say I make content that, again, I find it interesting if I get really excited about like some new tech product or a new game or a new random piece of just hardware or some offshoot accessory. That's the stuff that I like to watch. And I mean, that's the stuff that I started watching years ago. And it's just like, hey, I got a bunch of random crap in my house too. I can make videos on that. And those are the ones that are always the most fun, and you have a more natural passion to make those because you're excited about what it is. You know, there's products that come out and stuff, and it's just like, okay, I'm gonna make a video on this, and I'm gonna fake it till I make it. But then there's the really niche stuff. Like I have a Super Famicom floppy disk drive, so that you can dump your ROMs to 3.5 floppy, and I think that that's really cool. And I got a lot of passion for that. Not many people do, so that'll be a low view video, but it's something. But it's something where somebody else that has that passion, the one view that I will get will be Hancock. So I mean, but yeah, do what makes you happy. And if you are genuinely happy, that will come across in your video, and other people that are like-minded, they may not know about that exact thing, but your happiness and your passion is going to be infectious, and they're going to get sucked into the video and watch it.
I come from a radio broadcasting background, and a classic true tale about radio hits is Vanilla Ice released "Play That Funky Music, White Boy" on a single, on a 45. And that was supposed to be the song, that was supposed to be the radio hit. They played it, it did okay. And one time, one DJ said, you know what, just for fun, I'm gonna play the B-side, Ice Ice Baby. #1 song. So you have to find that, like, what you think is gonna be work, and you have to put your videos out there, put yourself out there to do these videos. And then along the way, you might discover, wait a minute, I'm doing these that I think are really good, but the audience really responds to this other side. So you can find a nice mix when you start doing something, you know, for yourself, about yourself, you put yourself out there, and then you realize, yeah, but what the people really want is you, but this kind of other thing. And you'll find that nice middle spot where you're still yourself, and then like super serving them as well to, you know, give you the information that they need or that they're looking for, but then still doing your own thing too. And it's finding that balance, and I don't even think I found that balance yet. But there's options out there for sure.
And I struggle with that. I'm just now getting to that level, and it comes with time. It comes from practice, error, you know. Yeah, just keep going. That's good. I'm glad you said that, because I just learned something too. It's a struggle for a lot of people sometimes, and it's okay to struggle, but you'll find growth in struggling, and it's fun. So don't be afraid to fail. You know, a lot of people get out there, and I don't want to put myself out there. I don't want to fail. I'm telling you, failing works so good. I'm glad I failed so many times in YouTube. It helps me out so much. So that's my story.
Remember, even if a video bombs, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. Like if you're doing a series of videos, it doesn't mean anything is wrong with that video. It just means that maybe it didn't knock it out of the park right out of the gate. And
Or
that's
content saturation already.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
If 40 people have already covered your content, it's not going to get any traction.
Hence, who are?
Yeah! But let your content become evergreen.
Yes.
You may get 5 views on a video, and then all of a sudden, a year later, you're like, why am I getting so many views right now? You go back to it's like, whoa, that video exploded. Okay, it's because somebody somewhere started searching that, and YouTube's like, hey, people like this crap. Let's show that to everyone.
Capcom Stadium, all 32 games shown. I mean, that's like an evergreen video.
Star Wars short where you piss off a whole fan base.
Views every day. Yeah. Yeah, evergreen content, for people who don't know, is something that gets views regularly, every day, consistent. It doesn't die. It just steadily grows. And I have a couple videos like that I did for Capcom, and I get like 200 to 300 views every day. And it just because it covers the content precisely to the point where if someone can watch that video, they walk away, I know exactly what that's about. Thank you. I would also add, like for me, If it's weird, I'm gonna do it. If I can't stop thinking about it, I'm gonna do a video. If I'm talking to myself in the car, I'm gonna do that video because that's like interesting. Yeah, the Ouya, like I love covering that strange micro console, and you know, whether it does great or not, I feel good. You know, it's kind of like YouTube's an outlet. So maybe YouTube, when we start out, is an outlet for you of just talking about something to an audience.
Well, yeah, Corey, you go first. 'Cause I know what I know what you want to talk about.
What, evergreen content?
Well,
I mean,
yeah. There's like even more evergreen content.
Yeah,
than evergreen. Evergreen.
Oh, you go ahead then.
Well, no, you're the one that does them, so.
Well, it's you know, just make things that, you know, people can come back to years later, and, you know, try not to date your content, like, at any point, if you can. You know, you're really good at using language throughout the, you know, where you say, you know, this, you never say this game was good. You just say this game is good for this reason because it doesn't
that's like
date
a
it.
big, that's like a big scripted nitpick of mine, where I'm like, most people talk about retro games using words like was, and I'm like, no, it still exists.
Yeah.
And this game is, although, you know, there's times to use past tense like, this game was released on such and such date or whatever, or it was at the time, such and such. But when you're saying, you know, this game is, or this console is, but anyway, another thought that kind of came to my mind when you all were talking about, you know, the viewer sort of response. Something that I've found is that sometimes the videos that get the most impassioned response in the comments aren't the ones that necessarily get the most views. For example, you know, documentary content doesn't do that amazing on YouTube. Just in turn, but the people who watch it are so grateful that you did what you did, that you made what you made. You know, we did this documentary on this guy, Tom Du Bois, that's how he says his own name, it's not Dubois, who he lives in Chicago, and he was the artist of most of Konami's box art from like 89 to 93, 94. You know, Contra 3, Super Contra, Castlevania 4, Castlevania 3, you know, all-time classic box arts. And the people who watched that was just like, oh my gosh, like, you know, this guy, the boxes for these games inspired me so much, and this is why I wanted to be an artist, and thank you so much for making this art, and thank you so much for sharing his story. And it was actually one of our worst performing videos at the time, but like, man, the comments were just unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was you who said, you know, I mean, talking about, you know, just very positive comments. You were saying, you know, if you want drama, you know, you can get drama. You know, we don't do drama stuff.
We just keep our heads down and make videos.
Yeah, and I think us being positive also just fosters a positive community, because we do. I mean, sure, there are some negative, nasty comments, but it's not overbearing by any means, because I think we have just attracted the right crowd, you know.
And you know, I wanted to say, like slow growth is like the best growth.
Yeah.
Because the people who, you know, if you have one video and just explodes and you get, you know, 100,000 subscribers in a week, a lot of those people are not going to stick around if you do anything else. But people who just show up and they're basically, over time, are willing to watch anything you make. It doesn't matter if you're kind of outside of your comfort zone, but those people will keep on coming back. Just because they're watching for you, they're not really watching for the subject.
Yeah, I would say when you're making a video, it's key to make something that you're passionate about, but you can't just go up there and talk like you would talk to yourself. You have to make it entertaining, you have to make it interesting, and you have to find a subject that isn't regularly covered, because you don't want to fall into the trap of there's 9 million videos about this particular thing. For me, personally, not a lot of people talk about sports games, and I love them. So I'm happy to talk about retro sports games, and that's been my biggest success, is talking about those. So it's not something I'm going to talk about every video, but it is nice to do every couple of months, just to, you know, spike the views a little bit, and people enjoy them. So.
Well, then, talking evergreen, Jay here,
He's extremely modest, but he had a video, I mean, it did all right when it launched. It was pretty average for one of your launches, but it, like just recently, holy man, his video exploded just out of nowhere. He's like, what's going on my channel? Like something is up. And all of a sudden, what did you hit? Like your peak in one day, it was like almost 40,000 views or something. Yeah. So just out of nowhere, it was a video that had like 1,000 views at launch or something like that. And then months later, it exploded. And he just went up several thousand subs and tens of thousands of views because randomly somebody found it was the EA Sports Big.
EA Sports Big.
Yes.
Ranking every EA Sports Big video went from something that had, I think, 1,200 views after about a month, which is usually where things kind of end off for me, to being over 160,000 views 3 weeks later after it blew up. So
Yeah. So evergreen content, man, you never know what it's going to be.
What I thought Corey was going to talk about when we were talking about evergreen content was one advantage to creating evergreen content is, you know, we actually got this idea from GameSack, and we've seen several other people do this. We do these, we release every now and then these things called MLink marathons, and they're just compilations of already released content. We put a little graphic on that indicates, like, you know, this was the air date, because, okay, some things might be a little dated in the video, but it's still vaguely evergreen. And man, once you have built a body of content, it can maybe make a compilation video of a certain
Like
subject.
5 hours long.
Just make it 5 hours long. You know, you'll get a few comments that are like, why are you doing this? But people like those videos, like, they make the most money for us. Like
And
people just
insane
put them
amount
on
of
in the
views,
background while they
Good
work
to
and
know.
stuff. If you look at the graph of like views, like for us, like I'm sure it varies per channel, but for us, you know, for a typical video, we have this initial spike of interest and then it just drifts. For the marathons, there's not a big initial surge, but you look at it months later and it's just.
And it's past everything else.
So
Yeah,
next week you're going to be seeing compilation videos from all of us.
And it helps, you know, because, you know, the length of it will keep people coming back. I feel like people are more willing to resume a video that is that long and just jump back in versus, you know, I watched 15 minutes of this 20-minute video, I'm not going to go back and watch the last 5 minutes. But if I watch, you know, 20 minutes of this 4-hour video, you know, it's just, I can just go back and put it back on. And also it's good because it doesn't take people away from your channel, I guess, because, you know, if you have like a playlist, there's times where YouTube will divert people into like other directions, but this will just keep them watching one
So we
video.
just do it like Sega Marathon, Nintendo Marathon, controllers and accessories marathon, you know, subjects like that.
So would you recommend a marathon playlist and then do like a collection?
I mean, you could do that. Well, a playlist will still, you know, it might not, YouTube might not keep
So
them
just
in that
do a
playlist.
marathon of some
It's
like-
like
Right,
a singular video, like a singular upload.
I mean, you could make a playlist of multiple marathons, but what we mean is don't make a playlist and just put the videos in it. This is like a newly rendered and newly uploaded video that is 5 hours long. That's what makes it work.
Yeah, to kind of explore the psychology of that, you have to understand, like, you get to a point where there are people that are your fans who are really watching you, as you said, for your personality, but like you become almost like background music to them. You're a little bit like a comfort source. Like, I can't tell how many times I've been told I'm like a Bob Ross of video games, and people like to what I'm doing. I'm like, that's fine, as long as you're getting some out of it. So there is that element of like, if you take, yeah, I know, if you take some of the poofy hair, oh, that's okay. If you get to a point where you have a base and a successful series of some kind, you're absolutely right. If you compile them, you will get people that are just like, that's, you know, my background, like, you know, noise that I just enjoy. That's like crackling fire, you know, type of ambiance or something.
I'm curious if anyone here is like me. Like I can't do that actually, because as soon as I put something on in the background to like work, it becomes the foreground. Like I can't even listen to podcasts. Like I will eventually slowly stop doing what I'm doing. I'll just sit there and stare into space and listen. I can only do one thing at a time. It's either I'm working or I'm paying attention to something else. I can't do that.
So my wife will come by and watch a documentary, and then it's like an orbit. She'll then start coming back around, and then she'll sit on the chair, and then she'll scoot up, and then she'll start holding my hand. And she's like, "What? You're gonna watch the rest of it, right?" So yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Questions right here.
What do you think
27 hours a day.
How much time should you spend on YouTube is the question.
Right now I'm thinking about YouTube. What they saying, I'm thinking about it right now, seriously. And that just means like I get passionate about what I love. You know, I love doing this. I love going here, going there, doing stuff for YouTube. I'm thinking like, how can I really? Right now I'm thinking like, okay, I got some videos. I want to make a marathon though. You know, seriously, like, so it's up to you. I would never say it's an obsession. Don't say that. Just we get to make YouTube videos. That's great. Just think about it. I get to make YouTube videos and people watch. That is so cool. I get to wake up in the morning, I get to drink coffee and then make a video. I love that. So if you want to do that, do it. If you want to do it 27 hours a day, do it.
After your homework, of course.
I mean, from a teacher, and for the record, we know math. There's not 27 hours in a day. Yeah. Except for him, he doesn't know that.
10 hours for kids. Don't watch it until 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
As a kid, you need to shut that off at 9.
Yes.
And put the phone away. Then after your homework, then you can watch it.
And there's a difference between consumption and research. If you're doing something because you want to better yourself or better your own content, there's a difference between doing that and it's like, okay, these are like-minded people that I want to learn from. That's doing research, trying to figure out what they're doing and how you can adapt it to yourself, versus like, oh man, I am going to binge Mr. Beast right now. Okay, they're two very different things. Jay?
No, go for it.
I just wanted to ask, have any of you hit a point where the drive to create content has started to make your hobbies feel like work?
Yes.
And then it
Yes.
goes,
Yes.
What do you do when you get there to pull
Take a
back?
break.
I add more work to my plate.
Sweet.
I find another hobby.
Talk
Yeah,
about
do
it
that.
with friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Use the people around you, use your peers, take a break from creating content for a little while.
Be honest with yourself.
Talk.
Know that you're burned out.
Yep.
Yes.
Admit that you're burned out. Your audience is going to come back to you.
And
If
there's
they
nothing
understand what's
wrong
going
with
on.
being burnt out.
No, absolutely not. And you will burn out. It's
And
gonna
that's the
happen.
good thing about that slow growth is a lot of times that audience is saying, you know, do what's best for you. Like they're very concerned about your well-being.
Yeah, most of the pressure that we feel is
Self-inflicted.
self-inflicted. You know, every
100%,
time we say like, oh, I'm so sorry that there hasn't been a video, or oh, you know I said this was going to release last week, but I just couldn't get it done. You know, everyone's like, take your time, take your time. Like, you know, our audience is so encouraging. It's really good. But also, you know, I think in terms of you know, your hobby feeling like work, you know, when I moved into my current house, it was actually like 1 year, like almost exactly 1 year before we started the channel. And I kind of just started working on it from how I had set up my home setup, which, you know, my computer was in my living room, my game systems were in my living room. They were, you know, everything I needed was right there. And over the years, as I started taking it, you know, more and more and more seriously, I was like, I can't relax in my own living room. Like, even when like I'm not working, it's like I feel stressed in my living room. And I think probably everyone has figured that out over the past 2 to 3 years because of working from home and stuff. But the big aha for me was, I should move my computer upstairs. I should be editing, I should be because that's not where so basically almost everything that I need for YouTube and editing and everything, you know, where I shoot my B-roll, where my older game consoles are, it's all upstairs. And now that's not to say that I don't enjoy playing my older consoles for fun as well, but it does kind of keep the living room semi-sacred, even though I can do some things like I have another computer downstairs I can capture with and stream from. But for the most part, I can go downstairs where I have like my HDMI-based consoles, like, and then kick back and relax. Like, modern gaming has in some ways kind of become like my escape from, you know, what I do for work. Not to say that I don't love to play retro games, but it's like that more often than not has kind of become like a stream time thing for me, where I enjoy streaming those a couple of times a week. But when I'm just by myself, I actually tend to play modern games where it's more isolated from my work setup.
Yeah, separate your spaces. If you're doing everything about everything all in one spot, then it's all going to blend together and it's not going to be fun. Yeah, you have the spot where you work, you have the spot where you relax, you have the spot where you do this. And if you're in a studio apartment, well, each corner becomes a space. You work with what you got.
And also, like I say, listen to your body. Like I learned that past couple months. Listen to your body. It's good. It's good to listen to your body. I was joking earlier saying like, if you love it, you can have both, but also just listen. Just listen to your body. Your body will tell you, and also to your audience, will be super forgiving about stuff. It's not like oh, you gotta put it out. Like the marathon thing is a great thing. Like if you get a marathon stuff, you got time to rest, and then just let people know. Oh, one thing, the community page on your YouTube is so helpful. I love it because you can definitely like go back and forth and talk to people on there, and they will be so thankful for like just interacting with people. It's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that, and I can't speak for everyone up here. I'm assuming most of us have like a Patreon option. Again, I can't represent everybody, but in all the years that I've been on YouTube, all the years I've had a Patreon, which is the most likely candidate group to ever be like, yo, where's your next video? Not one time has anyone ever come and be like, I paid for your videos, where are they? They're your base, they're there to support you, they get you. So don't feel like that's an external pressure, it's all on you.
Yeah, quite the opposite. In fact, patrons will usually be the first to say, no, you need to take the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And get yourself right.
They're the ones that'll notice that something's up.
Yep. They will message you out of the blue and be like, hey, is everything okay? You looked really tired in that last video.
And I think it's just important to realize that, despite all the work that we're putting into these videos, like YouTube is essentially the most disposable entertainment like in the world right now. Like there's just like so much that it's okay to take a break.
White long sleeve, yep.
How much time would you say you spend playing games outside of content creation?
How much time do we spend time actually playing video games outside of content creation?
I would say I play maybe, honestly, like 3 hours a week. I have 3 kids and a wife who thankfully falls asleep way before I do. My gaming time is typically Fridays and Saturdays from about midnight to 3 a.m., which is why I don't stream anymore because no one is on. Like, no one's there. But that's when I game. It's when my family falls asleep. Family always comes first. Your friends come first, all that stuff. I game when there's some extra time and I haven't fallen asleep.
Yeah, it's like
I have a seasonal schedule, so like my birthday is this next week. Spring break as a teacher, so like on holidays when time down, when I'm not working 65 hours a week, that's when I game with my friends or game with my kids. So for me, it's up and down, but it spikes when I'm off, like Christmas break, spring break, summer. So it's not every week. I don't have like an hourly thing. There's no way. And so I'm usually like when it's downtime, that's when I play.
It really depends on what game catches my eye. Like I take a little bit of time, I'd say, every day to play, but it's never, there's no more marathon sessions like I was when I was in my 20s. It's 45 minutes here, an hour and a half there. But if it's something that really catches my eye, really captures me, I'll play that for a little bit longer. But honestly, the thing that I have the most fun with is watching like my wife or my kid play. Being able to not have to focus and not think about a game and just watch for fun, that's really gratifying.
Twitch IRL.
One thing that I found to be kind of interesting is, I have 2 kids, and I've been getting up early, and there's nothing greater than just having a cup of coffee and playing a game before anybody in the house is up.
Gross. Early.
We've got about 5 minutes. So,
Swish.
When you first started making content, were you comfortable in front of a camera?
No.
Yes. Yes. I am extremely extroverted. I will go up to a random person on the street and ask if we could be best friends. So.
And how did you become comfortable?
Just by doing it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Corey and I had no intention of appearing on camera when we started our channel. We intended to do voiceover stuff, but then we realized that
You couldn't hide that from people.
Even though I don't know why people watch us for us, I wouldn't watch me for me, but ultimately, no matter how like self-conscious you feel about yourself or how you think, why would anyone want to look at me? Ultimately, it does create a face for people to connect with. People will remember you if they see you.
And they listen to you more, I think, if they see you coming out of a face.
Yeah,
And remember, you're recording alone, so who cares?
Yeah, honestly, the key to it is really just having confidence. I know that's easier said than done, but if I could really give you one suggestion, it'd be like, take a public speaking course.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised what you can learn. Like, I don't think any of us are actually sitting up here and are nervous in front of an audience anymore.
No.
It's just not how it is. If you are speaking, intellectually, competently, clearly, people will listen. And you just kind of get used to it. Like,
Late last year, I took an improv class just to get better at it. It was just,
Or just be loud.
Yeah. And like for me, at my former job, like I actually worked with a former news reporter, and we made a lot of shows like for the college I worked at, and I learned a lot just by observing him, and people who are good at this. And the other thing I would recommend, teleprompter good.
Yes.
Teleprompter good.
And there are very good free apps and stuff like that to use for that. That your camera's right behind it, so it doesn't look like you're reading a script, which does not look good. But yeah, that way you can
people
collect
that
your
can just like roll without having it though, because we would just get so lost in the details.
Yeah. I mean, you listen to me talk here, this is how I talk in videos,
So
because I have to write a script to organize my thoughts, because when I'm just speaking live, I have a hard time getting it out in a linear fashion and understanding how long I've been talking. So.
Yeah, if people watch our live streams,
I'm the opposite, but I shoot from the hip, and that's.
He's the king of one takes right here.
I actually got my style a little bit from Adam, because it was great of just boom. I'm just not, if I overthink it, just talk about it, and if it sounds bad, then I'll edit it. But I'm a teacher, so I always have to come up with magical, lesson plans on the whim.
I come from a radio broadcasting background where I'm also speaking to myself all day in a closet. So what you want to do is think of, and my trick along the way is think of one person, speak to them directly. I don't say, hey, everyone out there in YouTube land, because people are watching, it's one person watching. They're probably not watching in an audience like this. It's one person watching, one individual, and you want to give them your full attention. So think of that, and if you have to, think of your target demographic, your friend, or someone like that, and if you have to, put up a picture of them behind the camera and just look at them and speak to them as if I'm speaking to you right now. And that might make it a lot easier, because that way you're just talking to one person, but that one person could represent, maybe 100 one persons or something like that.
The more you practice, the easier it'll get. Oh yeah. I think we get, yeah.
2 minutes. Time for one more question.
That dude.
Yeah, what would you say is a general good rule of thumb for filming and capturing? Because in some of my own personal film projects, I've had too little that I shot, and I had to edit around it, and things got really redundant.
Sure. B-roll helps. So you can edit under B-roll, and not the humble brag, but literally I hit 100,000 subscribers. I got my YouTube plaque. I use nothing but my cell phone. Don't have to overthink it.
Yeah, I know, like with Jay, rule of thumb he has for like game capture footage when he's doing reviews and stuff, he has just 10 minutes of game cap of various parts of the game. Because then you can go through and you can talk about all the stuff that's going on, and it may not be the exact thing you're talking about, but it's a thing to complement it. So it's not like you have to go through 15 hours of footage and do all this crazy stuff. It's get what you want to say, and if you don't like, maybe you didn't like the way you looked when you said that one thing, it's like, okay, B-roll's going over that.
And variety to your edits. Don't just throw footage up and talk behind it. Cut back to you talking on camera, because that's going to offer variety. People are going to be more engaged.
As you make more content, you'll get used to your own workflow, and you'll realize what kind of B-roll and coverage you need to fix your own flaws. Yeah. You'll kind of get used to it. You'll be like, oh, I'm talking about this thing. All right, that means I'm going to need a close-up from this angle and that angle and that angle. You'll just kind of start to get used to it. It's kind of organic eventually.
And if it's something you think you're going to use again, keep it around.
And also too, make sure if you learn to edit to the music, just start like with iMovie. It's really good. Editing to the music will keep people engaged longer, and it's really, really helpful for me. That's been a really big change in my videos.
Don't make the PowerPoint mistake. You don't have to use every effect and transition available in your
Don't.
Don't.
Simple, clean edits.
Just because you shot it doesn't mean you need to use it.
But for game footage, actually, Trey and I started doing a thing about a year ago. We call it interval recording, where we set it up with like OBS, where you can record for 1 minute every 5 minutes. And then it just like automatically
And then you
does
just
it.
play through?
Yeah, so
And
that,
it's like,
I'm
that's,
stealing so much
that,
stuff from
you know, how much do you play, you know, just for pleasure? That's something that makes me feel like, I shouldn't necessarily feel this way, but it helps me feel like it's okay to just play for fun, because I'm like, okay, if this is recording in the background and I turn off the monitor and I'm not looking at the monitor, but in the background, it's just recording a little bit here, a little bit there. You know, sometimes it's just going to get a pause screen or something, but that's okay. Over the course of a whole game, you're going to walk away with material that could potentially be used in content. So it's like, okay, I sit back and enjoy myself, but it's also semi-productive a little bit, so I don't feel too bad about it.
Yeah, if the B-roll is super varied on some game footage, that means that they really liked the game they were playing and got distracted.
There's a lot of level 1 and level 2 and a lot of videos.
All right, well, I think we are at time now.
We are overtime, yeah.
We are overtime. Yeah.
Thank you for being here.